Now, Kwame Brown was right about LeBron James his whole entire time. Okay. A few weeks ago, if y'all don't know, y'all going to know right now on the Pivot podcast, Kwame Brown said it was better being a bust than being LeBron James. He followed that up by saying being a bust is better. LeBron James can't do what I can do. They can take pictures everywhere he go. I was a bust. Ain't nobody taking pictures of me everywhere I went. Now, being that we live in the reactionary society that we live in, and not a lot of people that's willing to think and listen and understand the context of words. Okay, a lot of people gave Kwame Brown some flack because of those comments, right? Like, really? You really would choose, your career over LeBron's? Missed context all over the place. But LeBron James just came out, I believe it was yesterday or today, I believe yesterday, and he talked about how he wished that he can go to Starbucks and have his name on the cup just like he's a regular person. The reality is Kwame Brown is right. The further up you go in the pecking order that you go, you lose touch with reality. When you get to a certain level, you lose touch with reality, right? You're making millions of dollars. Everybody's telling you how good you are. Everybody's kissing your feet. Meanwhile, there's a lot of things else going on in the other side of the world, like wars and pandemics and people just randomly dying, and you don't know what reality is anymore. So I understand Kwame Brown when he said, you know what? I just want to get a cup of coffee, see me a movie, and not have to worry about people coming up to me telling me how dope I am. Can I take a picture with you? Making me feel like I'm any less than a regular human being. Right? Kyrie Irving, we're going to talk about him further on this show. He's trying to do both. Like, people don't really understand that Kyrie Irving is crying out, right, to people that, listen, I just want to be normal. I just want to have a normal life, right? Some days I may not want to go to work, right? Just like the regular average Joe. Like, I want to bang in today, right? I just don't want to come to work. There's a lot of things going on, right? I don't want to take the jab. I want to stick to my moral code. And what Kyrie Irving is realizing now that he's getting stoned, that it's hard to do those things. Be a regular human. It's hard to do that. And Kwame Brown was absolutely right when he made that comparison with LeBron James. Say, I'll pass it to you to respond.
I think there's a lot of things to unpack there, but there's one thing that's for sure. Reality is not the reality that we live in. The reality he lives in are two different things. He has a different. He's living in a different tier of where he has with his financial gains, everything that he has. So his reality is a way different. It's not even about reality at this point. It's kind of just the lifestyle of the average middle class versus the lifestyle of somebody who is getting paid millions of dollars, close to billions of dollars. I think Kwame Brown, when he talked about that, it was more of a lifestyle. He didn't have to adjust or readjust to way he used to live to then his professional life, even post his NBA career. He was able to just walk around freely because of his lack of reaching his potential as a basketball player, not as a person, but as a basketball player. He didn't reach the potential that he wanted to reach or his peers wanted him to reach. And I think, maybe he's right based upon who you ask. Because if the average person wants the money but doesn't want the fame, of course they'll say, absolutely, Kwame Brown was right. Why would I want a million people asking for my autograph, being adored by people, being bombarded essentially on every hour of the hour to get a sign an autograph or to take a picture or do this, that, and third. I think Kwame Brown is right in that stance because a lot of people think they want fame, but they don't really know what fame is until it bum rushes you, like the photographers do all the time with all these celebrities just constantly following you around from all 24/7 essentially just to get a picture, to ask you a million questions to get a headline. Um, I'll say this, I think LeBron James is feeling the official like, damn, I can't do nothing, even post career. Like, what am I gonna do? Because he is a damn near rock star, a superstar. He is the star of just society now, our era. He is the guy. He is the Michael Jordan of our era, a guy who we just idolize so much of a basketball talent. And that's all you're gonna do is get bombarded. All you do is get bum rushed. I just think Kwame Brown, when he spoke about it, it was just he wasn't able to reach that level of fame, so he wouldn't know. Unfortunately, and I think that's what it is. I think at one point in high school, he probably felt that being the number one pick. At one point, he did feel like on top of the world, on top of the Mount Rushmore, but then he fell quickly. The meteor hit Earth very fast, and I think that's something that he wasn't able to acknowledge or able to embrace as a number one pick, as the number one draft pick. And I think that's something that he lives with to this day. I think he still feels regretful of that moment, just based upon the comments he made about being a bust. Like he kind of said it in a spiteful way. Like, if it's the best, I'm the best bust ever. Like, something in that nature. I think that's something that Kwame Brown still faces to this day.
I think for me, the way how I interpret everything that was being said was that and I go by actions. I always look at things from actions. I never listen to words. I listen to actions, even though actions can't speak, but it speaks, believe it or not. And I think for me, when I've watched Kwame Brown on YouTube and other platforms and media, he lives a simple life for the most part. And he was doing just that. We have not spoken about this guy since until like last year. We really started talking about this in the last 2 years. Before that, nobody knew this guy really existed unless you watch the NBA, right? You don't know who this guy is. So clearly, he's fine and content with going off the grid. You saw it. And when you see him on videos, right, especially last year when he came out to the scene, how did he come out the scene? Because people on ESPN was yappity yap, 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 talking about him, brought his name back up. They rose him from the dead. Right? They rose him out of the woodworks. He came out of the woodworks and was like, yo, let me, defend my name and come out these clowns who's coming after me. They coming after the wrong guy. Right? And you look at him, he drives a regular car, he lives a regular life. So basically what he's saying is that if I wasn't a bust and I was that guy I was drafted number one to be, then I couldn't live that simple life. Right? There's different requirements, there's different expectations, there's different variables that come with being a superstar on the magnitude of LeBron James. Also, a lot of people don't realize that you do this for different reasons, right? Some people they chasing legacy, some people they just want to, give their mama a good life, right? Give themselves a good life. When you're drafted number one overall, you're making millions of dollars. You accomplish a lot just by going to the NBA. That's an accomplishment. I don't care what the hell you do after that. You could be the biggest bust of all busts, okay? But you was able to feed yourself and your family and make a good life. And now use your name and likeness to have a career, in podcasting and going on podcasts, and people still think you're relevant. And my last point, you think about a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who's not really the most talkative guy and friendly guy. You think that it doesn't bother him, all the cameras and lights? He just deals with it because he likes to hoop. But trust me, he will love Kwame Brown's life, but at the same time, the life that he currently has, if there was a way to navigate through life that way. But the reality is not. And I'll let you respond to that.
I think it's just tough because I think when you hear Kwame Brown talking about it, it's just a different level. Like, when you hear Gilbert Arenas talk about basketball, talk about life after basketball, during basketball, things in that nature, it just comes from a different tune that we hear Kwame Brown talk about. It just sounds when Kwame Brown talks about life after basketball or his life during his career and stuff, it just sounds like a moment of regret. That he could have done something bigger and he had the opportunity and the skill set to do it. It just never came into fruition. We talk about Gilbert Arenas, another guy who kind of faltered his own career, for his own, reasons or his injuries and stuff in that nature. He was unable to really elevate at a certain point because his body gave up. And he was just like, I did what I could. I gave people buckets. They knew what time it was. And then, that's it. My body was done. His career was over. But he doesn't sound regretful when he talks about it in podcasts and vlogs and things of that nature. It just seems like Kwame Brown comes from a place where even after you hear it weeks later, you hear how he's talking and how he speaks about it. Like even today's era, it just seems like a place of like, damn, I really could have been one of those dudes if things worked in my favor. If I didn't play with this particular team, if I didn't play with this particular team, if the cards were in my favor. He kind of talks with the lack of accountability. I understand that a lot of situations that happen out in our lives and stuff of that nature happen because of something, but you have to take away somewhat of that and be like, all right, I should have did this better, that better. But when he refers to like the LeBron, like being right about LeBron James, it's like I said, it's very difficult. Like I said, it depends on the person you are. Like what if you're talking about today, you're able to take the fame that LeBron James gets, but then you get also the fame and the fortune that comes with it. Would you not take that and try to move and get your family out of situations that people are in, they were in? And you look at them like, yeah, I definitely would. I'll definitely take that and I'll take whatever comes with it. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand what comes with it. A lot of
I
people like
mean,
we
I
see
think
the
when you talk about LeBron James, he wants the attention, and this is why when he comes out with statements like that, I just think it's like BS kind of. Like I want to
mm,
walk into Walmart. You can't have it both ways. You want the attention. Why the hell do you go to these big markets to play basketball? Because you worried about your brand. You worried about the attention. That's why you shoot Space Jam. That's why you go to these Miami, LA, markets to be able to market yourself into a, higher brand than everybody else. And that's what the NBA is kind of today. It's about how you dress, how you walk into the stadium, Kyle Kuzma wearing funny ass outfits, right? It's all about the market. It's all about the attention and not only
yeah,
about the game. So when you talk about Kwame Brown's comments, he's in a different era. It was about the game then. Now it's not. And I'm pretty sure he's content with being a bust because he said it. Listen,
mhm.
I'm a bust. I know I am. But at the end of the day, I can live a normal life. And that's some of the pros of being a bust is I can
Real
still make the money and
mhm.
still go off the grid.
No, real quick, I just want to say like a quick comment on that. It's just like when Kwame Brown talks about normal life, it seems like I said, he's talking about a life of comfort, and everything everybody says in life, you're gonna have to be uncomfortable if you want to elevate. And it seems like Kwame Brown talks about a place of comfort where he's content being in the particular bubble. Like, and I'm not saying that's wrong. No one, it's a right to live in a particular bubble, but like LeBron, he's seen it in his career. He's in front of the camera no matter what. Even in high school, going into the NBA, he didn't ask to be, and on a cover and all this other stuff. He was placed there, like that. He was in front of everybody. You have expectations to be the king. You have expectations to be this, that, third, the phenom. And unfortunately, LeBron James was plastered there without his permission, without being asked if he wanted to be, and things of that nature because of what he was doing in high school as a basketball player, not outside of the basketball game, not on like hanging out with friends or all these other things. He was given everything by the media. The media painted him a certain way, and unfortunately, it was no way for him to get away from the cameras. The only way he would have got away from the cameras if, like Kwame Brown said, he was a bust. He just stopped playing good. He just was like became a bad basketball player.
I think
And I
content
think
and
even then, it
comfortable.
would have been bad. Continue. I'm sorry.
I think content and comfortable is two different things.
Mm,
Content is being in a situation, this is just my definition,
mm,
of dealing with something that's out of your control
mm,
and being content with the fact that you can't control the situation.
mm,
For an example, even my career coming up in this radio podcasting world,
mm,
there's a lot of times I've had to go back to the drawing boards, right? Situations just never panned out or never worked. But yet I was content with the situation. I was like, yeah, I wish things were better. I wish I had that opportunity. I believe that if I got that opportunity, I'll be able to kill it. But I'm content with the fact that I'm going to have to go another route. I'm content with where my life is, but that doesn't mean I'm comfortable with where my life is right now. So I think content and comfortable is two different things. I think he's content, Kwame Brown here, with being the bust of all busts. He's content with that because he cannot rewrite that. That's already been done. Adam Silver's not going to give him a call tomorrow and say, oh, come back in the league if you want to. Here's a tryout. But being comfortable, nah, he has other endeavors in life. Who knows what his plans are in life, what his second life is, because basketball is just one life. You have another life outside of basketball. There's going to be a life that LeBron James is going to have to live outside of basketball. And what's going to happen when you get to an age and you in your 50s and 60s and you want to live a normal life? You tired of the cameras and the lights and you want to be LeBron James with your family. You want to have that me time with my family, right? See my kid grow up, Bronny James, to become a elite NBA player. His life has changed forever. Your life has changed forever, and you're going to be married into the world of paparazzi until the day you die. That's not
no,
for me, bro. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm just speaking from a perspective like that's not what I'm here for on this earth.
no, yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen,
So
I personally agree. I understand exactly what you're talking about when it comes to your take and when it means from Kwame Brown. I'm just saying that's just unfortunately like it's difficult Like Kwame Brown is in a similar stance because he was drafted number 1, just like LeBron. Kwame Brown was expected to be a highly talented. The same way we look at Anthony Davis as a talent, people looked at Kwame Brown the same way. This man was a dog coming out of high school. The only difference is somebody continued to elevate with that expectation, and someone else dwindled when the expectation would get started. Like they had an expectation for him. And I think maybe, like I said, it's more of a it seems like it's coming from a place of regret. He wished he played better than the performances he had. And unfortunately, every time he talked about his NBA career, he references other things that happened outside of taking accountability. And then outside of that, having a normal life was because media stopped paying attention to Kwame Brown. If LeBron James became a bust, I don't know if they'll ever leave him alone. Because I think it will be, oh, you're the worst pay. You gave you all this coverage. You was doing this in high school. How did you do this in NBA? X, Y, and Z. I don't know if they'll ever leave him alone. Probably they would slowly but surely, the way they did Kwame Brown, because we've seen Andrew Wiggins go through the same media stuff. They called him the next LeBron, dwindle down. They called Ben Simmons the next Magic Johnson. The media dwindled down on that. There's a lot of expectations the media gives on young kids. And then when they don't meet it, they give them flack about it. They hit them really hard, make sure that they just bash them down all the way to the ground, and then leave them alone once they're already bruised and battered, like Kwame Brown was. Kwame Brown was having a lot of mental breakdowns during his career, and then he went MIA for years. No one heard of Kwame Brown. No one knew what Kwame Brown. No one heard anything about the man. Then he resurfaces last year with everything, talking about like basically having a whole tell-all on all the video blogs, having cursing people out, cursing teammates out, all these different things. It just seems like a person who is now willing to talk but not take accountability still. He's just talking from a place of hurt. And it sounds like that every time I hear Kwame Brown talk. He never takes accountability. He talks about having a normal life and yada, yada, but he doesn't reference to like, yeah, during my career, I messed up. I didn't do certain things, didn't fall in my favor. I messed up and I'm okay with it. He just seems like, damn, I wish I could get it coming back. Damn, LeBron James this, yada, yada, Ben Simmons. It just doesn't seem like it's coming from a place of just genuinity. It comes from like a place of just anger and being in frustration.
I think too, and this is my last point for real, right? In life, you're always going to be chasing something. This is just a lesson, philosophical moment here for anybody watching the show at 10:54 at night, right? I think in life, you're always going to be chasing something. And even for myself, right? This is going to probably get a little personal. Even for myself, like in this career, and me asking myself, Leel, what is it that you really want out of this life before you leave? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Right? And it's like, I'm saying to myself, there's all these things I want, but in my mind, I'm smart enough to know that the things I want today is not going to be the things I want tomorrow. And even when I accomplish them, I'm still not going to be fulfilled. LeBron James is about to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the scoring of all time, right? The scoring, pecking order. And it's going to happen probably in the next couple games, right? About the next game or two. LeBron James is still going to be chasing something. We all know that he wants to be the greatest basketball player of all time. Some people say he is already. Most people don't. Most people think it's Jordan. He's always going to be chasing something. And even when he retires from basketball, he's still going to be chasing something. Everybody, no matter where they are in life, is going to be chasing something. And that's just how life is. Life is a maze that you just go around and around and around until you go. And that's just what it is. But if you can be content with every step that you take, that's how you really, really succeed in life. And there's no achievements that you can get. Nobody calling you a GOAT. Nobody doing this that's going to ever really matter. And I'm going to just leave it at that. Philosophical moments right here on this show